Okay, sorry, I didn't realize I was muted online. So here we have hashing. So this is also a security protocol, a one-way encryption function used in blockchain to convert data to a fixed length value. So it doesn't matter what you enter, it could be Awang Abu, Awang Ali, the length of the text itself is fixed. So here we are using SHA-256. It's a one-way encryption method called hashing. So when we say one-way, it means that we cannot change it back. We cannot decrypt it. So once you change it to that, you cannot decrypt it unless you know it by heart. So here, as you can see, our boot, it becomes this, our line becomes this. Even if it's Zara, Laila, Izwana, or if it's a long sentence or paragraph, it can still be converted into a fixed length value. I will show you an example demonstration next. So as you can see here, here's the demonstration. As I'm typing, it creates a hash. You can see. So it doesn't matter what you type, it could be a long paragraph, the length will always be the same, so this is called hashing. It's not readable by the human eye. We won't understand it instantly. So this is what we use in blockchain technology, but how do we get that data back anyway? So immutability, I mentioned that once data is added to the blockchain, it can no longer be modified and removed. Why does this happen? Because, okay, here we have the Genesis block. So Genesis block is actually the first block on blockchain. So this is just an overview, a simplified overview. So here we have the Genesis block itself contains a current hash. So this current hash itself is based on the data. Here we have Awang Budiman. Just an example, a very simple example. So the next block will be block 1. As you can see here, it has the previous hash, which is this one, and the data is diagonal. So the current hash itself is a combination of previous hash and the current data. So it goes on and on and on and on. This is why it's called blockchain. As well, it is linked to one another. So what happens if data or one node on the blockchain is compromised? Let's say in block 2, Awang Abu jadi Awang Ali. So here, Awang Abu jadi Awang Ali. The previous hash part has not been modified. Tapi the current hash, pasal Awang Ali itu dia tukar namakan. So the current hash of that block kan dia combination of previous hash and the data. The current hash itself changes. So what happens is that all of us here, if I was a teacher, so here we have the second block, the third block, the fourth block. Do you see why it's invalidated? You don't understand, Mark? Okay, I'll show you the previous slide again. You can see that they are all linked to each other because their current hash is a combination of the previous hash and the data. Again here. We know the compromise was done at block 2, pasal block 3, berubah dia punya current hash juga. Because block 4 pun dia berubah. Because the data, walaupun dia sama, even if it remains Awang Aiman and Dayang Laila as the previous one. Tapi the previous hash tukar. So this is how we're able to identify at which part of the blockchain itself that data was compromised. Kami tahu Awang Aiman kena modify. You understand that? Okay, good. You guys can become blockchain experts by the end of the day. Okay, next is asymmetric cryptography. So, asymmetric cryptography is what we use actually daily. You don't realize it, but that's how we read our emails, WhatsApp. Do you know WhatsApp? When it's encrypted, your connection itself. So it's done through asymmetric cryptography. It's called public and private keys. Sebenarnya dulu, traditionally, they would only use one key. Tapi you can always determine this one key to unlock that message. Tapi most of the common practice, we're using public key encryption. So what happens is that, let's say the sender sends data. It goes through a hashing function, which I have shown tadi yang one way, and it cannot be reversed. So dia jadi sematikan. So we use the sender's private key to encrypt this one. So it becomes digitally signed. So a digital signature, we transmit it over the internet. you send that data, and you use that sender's public key to decrypt it. I'm not going to explain this very in depth, so it's quite complicated to me as well. It took me my whole master's to probably understand this. So the receiver will use this public key to decrypt this, but it's the hash. That's how you know it has not been compromised. Pasalnya dia match this one and this one matches. You see it? Yeah. So this is asymmetric cryptography. Tadi I mentioned consensus verification mechanism, how we add that data to the blockchain. So these different consensus mechanisms it impacts cost, security, and efficiency. So as you can see here, we have proof of work. So this is what is in use in Bitcoin and Ethereum. So everyone has heard of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Yeah, so it requires very high computing power to add this data onto the blockchain, their blockchain. That's why they need all these supercomputers and whatnot, rigs at home, consumes a lot of electricity. Pasalnya their algorithm is so complex. The way they add data is very complex as well. It's not very good for the environment. The response time, so imagine that you want to update your information and it takes at least 10 minutes. Lama kan? Padahal traditional databases kacau straight instant. Tapi you still want to use blockchain kan? So the transactions per second dia low, so scalability-nya not very high now. And the fault tolerance rate is 49%. So meaning that if 51% of the network is compromised, all data can be modified. That be virtually impossible now. So there's like millions of people using it. So proof of stake is being used by both. So what happens in proof of stake is that for any security feature we need to make sure that data to be added onto the blockchain is not easily added on without malicious intent. Macam orang jahat kan menambah kemudian. So what you do is with proof of stake, these people on the nodes the nodes itself, the miners, have to simpan deposit a monetary amount. Let's say I deposit $10. I want to mine that block. I want to add that data. I deposit $10. I will be rewarded after. Tapi what if orang jahat mau simpan data onto the block, malicious data? Dia deposit RM10, then most of the nodes will find out that dia salah. He will lose his stake. So this is why it's called proof of stake. Okay, and delegated proof of stake is similar to proof of stake. Pasalnya sometimes that node itself cannot mine that block, so you delegate that transaction to a different person. But with RAF, this is what ITPSS is using for their digital ID solution. So they're creating a digital ID solution of a blockchain, which I will demonstrate later. I'll show you a screenshot of it. So they're using a consortium blockchain, using Ledger Fabric. As you can see, energy consumption are very low compared to using Bitcoin, Bitcoin and Ethereum archive. It's because we want to use a low-cost solution into Brunei Darussalam. So this is why they have chosen RAF. Tapi yang punya fault tolerance rate sama aja macam broker. So your security feature is also there now. So sebenarnya there's quite a lot consensus verification mechanism. Even Masani researchers, it could be masters, PhD researchers, all who are in academia, professors and whatnot, they are still looking for more consensus mechanisms. There is research constantly being conducted on how to improve the verification mechanism for the blockchain itself, because blockchain itself is the future. So tadi I mentioned hash regulatory structure. So hashing is involved. Sebenarnya one block itu yang contain multiple transactions. It's not just one block, one transaction. So as you can see here, we have transaction A, B, C, D. You can all see that, right? So this transaction will first be changed into hash. They all will first be changed into hash. Then they will be combined together with hash A and hash B. The hash of this will be combined together, and then hash A. Then C and D hash, and then combine hash, and then it doesn't just stop there. In a real life scenario with blockchain technology, the hashing constantly happens until it reaches the Merkle group. So it is very complex. So even if one data is modified, transaction D, it changes the overall Merkle group. That's why we can still determine where it was compromised. So we cannot read that hash itself. That's why we cannot see what data is in the blockchain. It is still considered secure. We use it as a means to verify data. Blockchain has a lot of use cases. Sebenarnya see as a database. It can be used in e-commerce, crowdfunding, banking, global payments, digital identity, healthcare records, land ownership, intellectual property, equity, private markets, verifiable credentials, halal certification, supply chain, insurance, digital rights, and voting. Here we have real-world developments. Maersk is using Hyperledger Fabric. Swift is using Chainlink. ITPSS is using Identity for Brunei Darussalam, self-sovereign digital identity solution using Hyperledger Fabric as well. So sometime within the next year, you will see this being launched in Brunei Darussalam. It was actually based on my PhD research project. So they wanted to create a solution that is low cost for the government, but also secure. Pasalnya, we're dealing with data on a national scale. The government doesn't want to be, pasal the issuing government is GIAC. The one implementing is EGNC. EGNC is the e-government national center. So they wanted a solution for Brunei Darussalam. Tapi they do not want to risk storing all this confidential information in their own servers. So what they did is they use blockchain. They hash all the transaction data, store it onto their blockchain. So even if their blockchain can compromise, even if it was on a public network and people can see their blockchain, the data is still deemed useless to any hacker. But suddenly it's hashed, you cannot read it. This is why it's a low-cost solution, and the EGNC doesn't have to store that data. They do not have to invest in large, powerful servers and whatnot. That data itself will be stored on your mobile devices. So your mobile devices itself will contain the raw data. So when you share this information with any third-party verifier, like Raja, ataupun kan bagi barang and whatnot that requires your IC and whatnot, even driver's license. Because misalnya if you don't have a proper solution for driver's license, that data you can share it through the internet with whoever is verifying your data, that raw data, and it's reconverted back into hash, just like the company asymmetric cryptography today. You can see the hash they compare. If it exists onto the blockchain, it means that the data has not been modified. That is what pasal hashnya exists kan, walaupun the blockchain doesn't store raw data. So but we're not grabbing your data from the blockchain. We are comparing it against the blockchain. Tapi the blockchain trilemma exists. There is no perfect blockchain. Decentralization, the more nodes have on a network, higher the scalability issue. Pasalnya, you have to make all nodes on the network contains the same data. Scalability is the ability to transact onto the blockchain, adding on new data. So if your decentralization is high, making it more secure, your scalability becomes very low. Pasalnya, every node on the network has to have a copy of the same transaction. And then if your security is very high, it affects the other two. So in every organization, we have to find the correct compromise. Do we want to compromise on security, decentralization, scalability? Every blockchain is unique. That is why there are different consensus mechanisms as well. So we have to find that right balance, which one is right for you, which one is right for your project. Let's say if you're working on a school project, and you want it to be free, you use Ethereum Cassava. It's free. But if you want to use larger scale security, we use Hyperledger Fabric. So we have to find our own compromise, understand what each blockchain has to offer. So again, back to the question, is blockchain technology the transformative solution? Like, we have to ask ourselves, what are we storing that needs blockchain to protect it? Have a seat. Because not every single thing needs to be protected by the blockchain. You're going through all this trouble to build a blockchain, but what you're only storing is your assignment or whatnot. Padahal That's why we have to ask ourselves, is it worth investing in blockchain if we just want to start something? No, it's not worth it. Tapi if we want to store data like healthcare data, personal data, digital ID, banking transaction on a large scale, then yes, blockchain is for you. That's why it's being used in Bitcoin. What about, has anyone ever heard of NFT?
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you think of NFTs?
NFTs?
NFTs.
Price, no more value.
Yeah. So it's about pricing, guys. Tapi that is not NFTs are not focused on blockchain itself. NFTs are actually values based on the eyes of the people there. If I see a painting and I like it, of course it's worth more to me. So NFTs are like that. Tapi NFT is they are able to convert these digital assets into tokenization. So you can buy it, it's yours. You can sell it again. It's basically just that demand. Yeah. So if you want it, it's yours then. That's why NFTs were a big hit. But people misunderstood. They think that just because it's associated with blockchain technology, that it's wrong. But it's not just NFTs that can be a digital asset. Like I mentioned, land leads. It's Zara, it can be an asset as well. Any physical asset can be converted into digital using blockchain technology. So don't fall for the whole Bitcoin, Ethereum, NFT things. Even I myself don't invest in it. But blockchain is the way to go. So to blockchain or not to blockchain? That is the question you have to ask yourself, not me. Okay, so first I'll take questions from the audience before I ask the quiz. Yeah. Any questions? Yes?
You have to mine this.
Yes. Depends on what type of blockchain. Yeah, like in Bitcoin, Ethereum, yes, you have to mine it because they're using proof of work as a verification mechanism. So the Rampai are very complex algorithm methods that are being rewarded for once they add it onto the blockchain. So you're using the computing power and your mouth. Yeah, so that's why it's very secure.
If it's but you have blockchain, it's like you're providing the service with insurance.
You don't have to use, let me go back to the slide. You do not have to use proof of work. So here what Bitcoin and Ethereum is using is proof of work. So memang dia require high energy consumption. Pasalnya memang that's their security feature to how to add data to blockchain. Tapi macam Raft here, they're using very low energy consumption. Pasalnya they're using Raft. You can use, let's say, if you were to create a system for an insurance company, you have to decide what blockchain you want to use, a private or public blockchain. What consensus verification mechanism do you want to use? You want to use proof of work, which is highly consumptive, it requires high energy, or do you want to use Raft, which requires very low energy? So memang whatever system you create, you can use different kinds of blockchain. You can use different kinds of consensus verification mechanism as well. And it all has its own different fault tolerance rate. Any more questions? Kita paham tu.
I didn't look up the Raft one. So
Raft.
I'm familiar with the
Yeah. So there's more. And there are constantly new consensus verification mechanisms being created. It doesn't just stop here. So you have to find which one is low cost and right for you. But of course, low cost means less secure. You have to find the right compromise. If you're using a public network, maybe it's better, but Sana more not that. So you don't have to invest so much in a very high consuming verification mechanism. Any questions? Yes? Yes?
So, let's say if you want to buy something online on a website, then when you print payment leads to like different website for payment, specifically for payments. Where does the chain happen?
The blockchain happen.
Ah,
It has to be within the payment itself, the payment gateway.
doesn't follow the concept yang you mentioned. So, exchange itu yang ada in this information sama then next information.
Kalau let's say in Bitcoin kan, kalau you transfer duit, that whole mechanism gets triggered the smart contract law. Yeah, so the blockchain is where when the data is added onto the block itself. Yeah. Do you understand that part? I can explain it please one of it. Any more questions? Is this topic difficult to understand? For us,
So I'm just wondering, right? Like in Brunei, for future, for the utilization of blockchain in Brunei, how do you foresee the usage?
Usage. Masani, has anyone heard of Olive?
Yes.
Yeah, Olive is currently using blockchain technology, somehow AI. So right now people are realizing that blockchain is the way to go. Many years ago, when we first started looking into digital ID, the government has already been looking into blockchain years before that. Then yes, it's difficult to understand. Tapi you have to invest time into understanding the technology, creating a solution that is right for your clients, for yourself, and what else? We don't want people to be too scared of blockchain technology. Macam dahsyat. So we want to encourage people to be able to use blockchain technology. We see here banyak contest mechanismnya. Which one is right for you? You have to find the right one. Hindi pa yung pakai macam Bitcoin or Ethereum. That's crazy. Even I don't want to use it. Okay. I see it being used a lot, especially next year. Because recently the government has their digital economy master plan 2025. 2035 is one now? 35, 25? 2025. So they are kind of preparing their blockchain infrastructure for their digital ID. That same blockchain infrastructure can be used for other government projects. Masani, the taboo of all the Bitcoin thing is haram, not Brunei. So it doesn't say it's haram. It's just that you have to be smart about Bitcoin and Ethereum and whatnot. You have to understand the technology behind it. Yeah. Maybe someday Brunei might have its own stablecoin. Brunei Darussalam, BDC. Yeah. You can easily transact with each other. But what's good about Bitcoin is it's cross-border and we can transfer to anyone around in the world. But maybe we can create one where we peg it to the Brunei currency, we transfer it to each other. It's very easy then. So right now with PayPal, BNB, regularly transferring is so difficult. If I want to transfer to Zara, mesti aku masukkan duit aku ke dalam Pagi, dari BNB, baru transfer arahnya. So any more questions? Zaid, any questions? So again, is it really complex to understand blockchain? Like the technical guidance. But before today, but you have a little understanding of it, right? Yes?
If you have a lot of do you mind
How graph works? Unfortunately, my graph expert because also he's more he's our database infrastructure blockchain specialist. He's the one who's doing that. How similar is the people of the ground? Sebenarnya you can still use Raft and use SHA first. Tapi Raft is more about the mathematical algorithm, like mana kamu can access data onto the blockchain. Tapi you don't have to just pick Raft. Sebenarnya kamu ada gitu mau statement dulu. Proof of stake, dia nampak sini. Because every hold on. Proof of stake pun loh. So proof of stake ini is the mechanism by which kami deposit an amount so that we can add on that data to the blockchain, run that data to the blockchain. So memang ada lain cara lah. So if we want malicious transaction to the blockchain, memang we use our stake to the blockchain, which we use that amount. So verification mechanism is more about China we can securely access data to the blockchain. We all the nodes have something to do with it. Yeah, but we don't want to use for purposes that it's too complex. The algorithm is very complex. But there are many different kinds. You can search online and show this for you. But if graph, I can introduce you to my colleague. I'll introduce you to Are you students? So you create that exhibition. Oh. Yeah. It's a good for commerce job as well. Masalahnya it involves transactions by monetary transaction, which requires security as well. Any more questions? Yeah. So I have gifts here, sponsored by CSB. I have 4 questions. Can anyone name me one type of blockchain? Yes. Huh? Bitcoin. The type of blockchain. That's okay. Yes. That's our term. Yeah. That's okay. Next is when we add data to the blockchain, we can no longer change it. What's the word for it? No. When we can no longer change it.
It can be modified.
Yeah. What is it? The word, single word. Apa? No. No. Yes. Guys, I was hoping everyone would be experts today. Okay. Okay, what is the one-way function we use to change data into a fixed length value? Okay, I don't have enough here for everyone. So show it. Who did you hear that even jawab first? Okay. Okay, next question will be hard now. What company is implementing digital ID in Brunei next year? No. I think it's that. Okay. Thank you. So that's it for today. So there's everyone. We're almost blockchain experts. Thank you for joining this talk.
Because we sometimes we do awareness of but also makes it international.
So this curve is top, which sometimes we do, sometimes we try to do.
Yeah. Have you ever heard something about pernah buat di sana sejak under
Yes,
under
under
yes
under
under last year.
last year, yeah, around there.
I swear.
Welcome back.
Yes.
If you remember,
Remember you?
MVP or
I know.
what?
Is it your students for studying for
For IT.
So tekanannya MVP awal. Tidak. So anaknya
Just now the one that answered download that one.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
answer the first question.
You the
you banyak students sekarang right? I can see the students.
So the have the last submission yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's still let's see revision and exam. So your digital will be next year.
Semua
So you automatically all that.
Yeah.